Question 1. The efficiency study reveals a statistically significant difference in the success rate of establishing voice calls between two Cisco Unified Communications Manager (CUCM) clusters serving distinct U.S.-based user groups. One cluster consistently exhibits a lower call completion percentage. Which of the following diagnostic approaches is most aligned with best practices for resolving this issue within the U.S. regulatory framework for telecommunications? Option A. Focus solely on user-reported issues, gathering anecdotal evidence of dropped calls without examining system logs or performance metrics. Option B. Immediately escalate the issue to the network engineering team, requesting an increase in bandwidth for the affected region, assuming network congestion is the sole cause. Option C. Analyze CUCM call detail records, CDR, and trace call flows within the affected cluster, correlating with network quality of service, CoS, settings, and available bandwidth on the relevant network segments. Option D. Reconfigure the codec settings on the CUCM cluster to a universally lower bandwidth codec without first diagnosing the specific cause of call failures. Correct answer is C. Analyze CUCM call detail records, CDR, and trace call flows within the affected cluster, correlating with network quality of service, CoS settings, and available bandwidth on the relevant network segments. Explanation. The efficiency study reveals a significant disparity in call completion rates between two Cisco Unified Communications Manager (CUCM) clusters serving different geographical regions within the United States. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly impacts user experience, operational costs, and potentially compliance with service-level agreements (SLAs) that may have implicit or explicit performance expectations. The need to diagnose and resolve such issues requires a deep understanding of CUCM internal workings, network dependencies, and the specific regulatory environment governing telecommunications services in the U.S. The correct approach involves a systematic, data-driven investigation focusing on the CUCM cluster's configuration and performance metrics, specifically within the context of U.S. telecommunications regulations. This includes examining call routing logic, codec negotiation, quality of service, CoS implementation, and potential network bottlenecks that could affect call quality and completion. Adherence to U.S. regulations, such as those overseen by the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, is paramount. While the CICD exam doesn't delve into specific FCC rule numbers, it emphasizes implementing solutions that ensure reliable and accessible communication services, which aligns with the FCC's mandate to promote robust telecommunications. Therefore, a solution that prioritizes troubleshooting within the CUCM environment, leveraging its diagnostic tools, and understanding its interaction with the underlying network, represents best professional practice. This approach ensures that the resolution is technically sound and compliant with the general principles of reliable U.S. telecommunications. An incorrect approach would be to solely focus on external network factors without a thorough investigation of the CUCM cluster itself. For instance, assuming the issue is purely a network bandwidth problem without first verifying CUCM call processing and resource utilization would be a significant oversight. This could lead to misallocation of resources and prolonged downtime. Furthermore, any proposed solution that might inadvertently violate U.S. telecommunications principles, such as implementing configurations that could degrade call quality for a subset of users or fail to meet basic accessibility standards, would be professionally unacceptable. This could indirectly contravene the spirit of FCC regulations aimed at ensuring universal and reliable service. Another incorrect approach would be to implement a quick fix without understanding the root cause, potentially leading to recurring issues and further impacting user satisfaction and operational efficiency. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a failure to adhere to best practices in system administration and troubleshooting. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured troubleshooting methodology. This begins with clearly defining the problem, gathering relevant data, logs, performance metrics, user reports, forming hypotheses, testing those hypotheses systematically, and implementing and verifying the solution. In the context of U.S. telecommunications, this process must also consider the overarching regulatory framework that prioritizes service reliability and accessibility. Professionals should leverage their knowledge of the Cisco collaboration platform and its interaction with the network, always keeping in mind the goal of providing a stable and compliant communication service. Question 2. The audit findings indicate that the current method of user authentication for the company's Cisco collaboration devices is managed through individual device configurations, leading to inconsistencies in password policies and a lack of centralized oversight. Which of the following approaches represents the most secure and professionally sound method for managing user access to these devices? Option A. Disable authentication for all internal users to streamline access and improve user experience. Option B. Utilize a single, shared administrative username and password for all collaboration devices to simplify management. Option C. Implement a centralized authentication and authorization system, such as Radius or Cisco's native AAA, to manage user credentials and access privileges from a single point. Option D. Configure each collaboration device with unique, complex local passwords, and regularly rotate them across all devices simultaneously. Correct answer is C. Implement a centralized authentication and authorization system, such as Radius or Cisco's native AAA, to manage user credentials and access privileges from a single point. Explanation. Scenario analysis. The scenario presents a professional challenge related to the implementation of Cisco collaboration devices, specifically focusing on the security implications of user authentication and authorization within a corporate network. The audit findings highlight a potential vulnerability, requiring a network administrator to make critical decisions about how to secure access to sensitive collaboration services. The challenge lies in balancing robust security measures with user accessibility and operational efficiency, all while adhering to the specific regulatory framework relevant to the CCNA collaboration implementing Cisco collaboration devices, CICD, exam. This exam is jurisdiction neutral in its core technical content, focusing on universal networking principles and Cisco-specific implementations. Therefore, the professional challenge is to apply best practices in network security and access control as defined by general IT security standards and Cisco's recommended configurations, which are implicitly expected within the context of a Cisco certification. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves implementing a centralized authentication and authorization mechanism, such as integrating with a Radius server, or using Cisco's native authentication, authorization, and accounting AAA features. This method ensures that user credentials and access privileges are managed from a single point, allowing for consistent policy enforcement across all collaboration devices. This is best professional practice because it adheres to the principle of least privilege, where users are granted only the necessary permissions to perform their job functions. Centralized management simplifies auditing, reduces the risk of misconfigurations, and enhances overall security posture by providing a unified view of access logs and user activity. This aligns with general IT security best practices and the security principles embedded within Cisco's collaboration solutions, which are the focus of the CICD exam. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to rely solely on local device passwords for authentication on each collaboration endpoint. This is professionally unacceptable because it creates a fragmented security environment, making it difficult to manage and update credentials consistently. If a password is compromised on one device, it doesn't automatically affect others, but the sheer number of unique passwords required for a large deployment becomes unmanageable and prone to weak password practices. This approach fails to provide centralized auditing capabilities, making it challenging to detect unauthorized access attempts or policy violations. Another incorrect approach would be to disable authentication altogether for certain collaboration services to improve user convenience. This is a severe regulatory and ethical failure. Disabling authentication directly contradicts fundamental security principles and exposes sensitive communication channels to unauthorized access, data interception, and potential misuse. It creates a significant vulnerability that could lead to data breaches, reputational damage, and non-compliance with any applicable data privacy regulations, even if not explicitly stated for this exam's jurisdiction. A third incorrect approach would be to use a shared, generic username and password across all collaboration devices. This is also professionally unacceptable. It completely undermines the concept of individual accountability and makes it impossible to track who performed specific actions on the system. In the event of a security incident, identifying the source of the compromise would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. This practice also significantly increases the risk of unauthorized access, as a single compromised credential grants access to all devices. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach such scenarios by first understanding the security requirements and potential risks associated with the collaboration infrastructure. This involves identifying sensitive data that might be transmitted or stored, and the potential impact of unauthorized access. The decision-making process should then prioritize solutions that offer centralized management, granular access control, and robust auditing capabilities. Consulting Cisco's best practice guides and documentation for the specific collaboration devices being implemented is crucial. When evaluating different authentication and authorization methods, professionals should consider scalability, ease of management, and the ability to integrate with existing security infrastructure. The goal is to implement a secure, reliable, and manageable solution that meets both business needs and security mandates, always erring on the side of stronger security when in doubt. Question 3. Compliance review shows that a new Cisco collaboration deployment requires both Cisco Jabber clients and Cisco IP phones to be integrated into the network. The primary goal is to ensure seamless call control, presence sharing, and unified user management. Considering Cisco's recommended implementation practices for integrated collaboration devices, which of the following approaches best aligns with these objectives? Option A. Configure Cisco Jabber clients to register with a separate cloud-based instant messaging service and Cisco IP phones to register with CUCM. Option B. Configure both Cisco Jabber clients and Cisco IP phones to register with and be managed by Cisco Unified Communications Manager, CUCM. Option C. Configure Cisco Jabber clients and Cisco IP phones to register with separate, non-integrated Cisco collaboration platforms without a central management entity. Option D. Configure Cisco Jabber clients to register with a third-party instant messaging platform, and Cisco IP phones to register with CUCM. The correct answer is B. Configure both Cisco Jabber clients and Cisco IP phones to register with and be managed by Cisco Unified Communications Manager, CUCM. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration solutions, where different communication protocols and services need to interoperate securely and efficiently. The professional must balance the technical requirements of integrating these systems with the overarching need for compliance with Cisco's recommended practices and the implicit security and reliability standards expected in a professional IT environment. The challenge lies in selecting the most appropriate configuration that meets functional needs while adhering to established best practices, avoiding potential security vulnerabilities or performance degradation. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves leveraging Cisco's Unified Communications Manager, CUCM, to manage the registration and signaling for both Cisco Jabber clients and Cisco IP phones. CUCM acts as the central control point for these devices, ensuring consistent configuration, security policies, and call routing. By registering both device types to CUCM, administrators can enforce unified security settings, manage user profiles centrally, and simplify troubleshooting. This aligns with Cisco's design principles for integrated collaboration environments, promoting a cohesive and manageable system. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to configure Jabber clients to register directly to a separate cloud-based service, while IP phones register to CUCM. This creates a fragmented environment, making unified policy enforcement, user management, and troubleshooting significantly more complex. It introduces potential security gaps if the cloud service's security posture differs from the on-premises CUCM, and it hinders the seamless integration of presence and call control features that are central to a unified collaboration experience. Another incorrect approach would be to attempt to register Jabber clients to a third-party instant messaging platform and IP phones to CUCM. This fundamentally breaks the integrated collaboration model. Jabber clients would not be able to leverage CUCM for call control, presence, or directory services, severely limiting their functionality. Similarly, the IP phones would be isolated from the unified messaging and presence capabilities that Jabber could offer if properly integrated. This approach leads to a disjointed user experience and operational inefficiencies. A further incorrect approach would be to configure both Jabber clients and IP phones to register to separate, non-integrated Cisco collaboration platforms without a central management entity like CUCM. This would result in duplicated management efforts, inconsistent configurations, and a lack of interoperability between the two device types. It would also likely lead to security vulnerabilities due to disparate security policies and a failure to leverage the integrated features that Cisco collaboration solutions are designed to provide. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach such decisions by first understanding the core requirements of the collaboration solution, including user needs, desired features, and existing infrastructure. They should then consult Cisco's official documentation and best practice guides for the specific products being implemented. A comparative analysis of different integration strategies, considering factors like security, manageability, scalability, and user experience is crucial. The decision should prioritize solutions that promote a unified, secure, and efficient collaboration environment, aligning with the vendor's recommended architecture. Question 4. The efficiency study reveals a significant increase in call handling times and a decrease in first call resolution rates within the collaboration platform. Which of the following diagnostic approaches would best address these performance degradations while adhering to best practices for implementing and managing Cisco collaboration devices? Option A. Immediately upgrade all user endpoints to the latest firmware version to ensure optimal performance. Option B. Disable advanced collaboration features that are not frequently used to simplify the platform and reduce potential points of failure. Option C. Increase the number of technical support staff assigned to the collaboration platform to handle increased call volumes. Option D. Analyze call detail records, CDR, and quality of service, COS metrics to identify specific call path bottlenecks and device performance issues. The correct answer is D. Analyze call detail records, CDR, and quality of service, COS metrics to identify specific call path bottlenecks and device performance issues. Explanation. The efficiency study reveals a significant increase in call handling times and a decrease in first call resolution rates within the collaboration platform. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly impacts customer satisfaction, operational costs, and potentially the organization's reputation. The IT team must identify the root cause and implement effective solutions without disrupting ongoing business operations or violating any established service level agreements, SLAs, or internal policies. Careful judgment is required to balance immediate fixes with long-term strategic improvements. Correct approach, focusing on analyzing call detail records, CDR, and quality of service, COS, metrics to identify specific call path bottlenecks and device performance issues, represents best professional practice. This aligns with the principles of implementing and managing Cisco collaboration devices by leveraging diagnostic tools and data-driven insights. It is ethically sound as it prioritizes service improvement based on objective evidence, ensuring that resources are allocated effectively to address the actual problems. This method adheres to the implicit regulatory framework of maintaining reliable and efficient communication services, which is a cornerstone of business operations and customer trust. An incorrect approach that involves immediately upgrading all endpoints without a thorough diagnostic analysis is professionally unacceptable. This fails to address the root cause, leading to unnecessary expenditure and potential disruption. Ethically, it represents a failure to exercise due diligence and responsible resource management. It also risks introducing new, unforeseen issues. Another incorrect approach, which is to simply increase the number of support staff without investigating the technical reasons for the increased call handling times, is also professionally unsound. This is a reactive measure that does not solve the underlying problem and is fiscally irresponsible. It fails to uphold the professional obligation to optimize systems and processes. Finally, an approach that involves disabling certain collaboration features to reduce complexity, without understanding their impact on user workflows and business needs, is professionally flawed. This demonstrates a lack of understanding of the integrated nature of collaboration tools and their business value. It can lead to user frustration and decreased productivity, violating the professional responsibility to support and enhance business operations. Professionals should employ a systematic, data-driven decision-making process. This involves 1. Clearly defining the problem and its impact. 2. Gathering relevant data using diagnostic tools. 3. Analyzing the data to identify root causes. 4. Developing and evaluating potential solutions based on feasibility, cost, and impact. 5. Implementing the chosen solution with a clear rollback plan. 6. Monitoring the results and making adjustments as needed. This iterative process ensures that solutions are effective, efficient, and aligned with organizational goals and professional standards. Question 5. Assessment of the security posture of a new Cisco collaboration solution deployment for a financial services firm, which handles sensitive client data, requires careful consideration of regulatory compliance. The firm is operating under U.S. federal regulations that mandate strong data protection and privacy. Which of the following actions best demonstrates adherence to these regulatory requirements and professional best practices for implementing Cisco collaboration devices? Option A. Implement end-to-end encryption for all voice, video, and messaging traffic. Configure robust authentication and authorization mechanisms, and conduct a pre-deployment security audit against relevant U.S. federal data protection standards. Option B. Deploy the collaboration solution without specific encryption protocols, focusing instead on network-level firewalls to protect the communication channels. Option C. Prioritize the deployment of core collaboration features and address security and compliance configurations in a subsequent patch, assuming the initial data transmission is minimal. Option D. Rely on the default security settings provided by Cisco for the collaboration devices, as these are generally considered secure for most business applications. The correct answer is C. Prioritize the deployment of core collaboration features and address security and compliance configurations in a subsequent patch, assuming the initial data transmission is minimal. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration devices, ensuring secure and compliant communication in a regulated environment. The core difficulty lies in balancing the need for efficient communication with the strict requirements for data privacy and integrity mandated by relevant regulations. A misstep can lead to significant legal repercussions, reputational damage, and loss of trust. The pressure to deploy new technology quickly can sometimes overshadow the critical need for thorough security and compliance vetting. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a proactive and comprehensive security and compliance assessment before deployment. This includes understanding the specific data types being transmitted, identifying potential vulnerabilities, and ensuring that the chosen collaboration solution adheres to all applicable regulations. For the CCNA Collaboration Implementing Cisco Collaboration Devices (CICD) exam, this translates to understanding Cisco's security features and best practices for devices like Cisco Unified Communications Manager (CUCM) and Cisco Expressway. Specifically, it means configuring and verifying features such as SRSD, Survivable Remote Site Telephony, for call control redundancy, TLS transport layer security, for encrypted signaling and media, and appropriate access control lists, ACL, to restrict unauthorized access. This approach ensures that the deployed solution is not only functional but also secure and compliant from the outset, minimizing risk and demonstrating due diligence. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing a solution without a thorough understanding of its security implications and regulatory compliance is a significant failure. For instance, deploying collaboration devices without enabling encryption for sensitive communications, like voice and video, directly violates data privacy regulations, which mandate the protection of personal and confidential information. Similarly, failing to implement proper access controls and authentication mechanisms leaves the system vulnerable to unauthorized access and potential data breaches, which is a direct contravention of security best practices and regulatory requirements. Relying solely on default configurations without customization for the specific environment also poses a risk, as defaults may not meet the stringent security standards required by the organization or its governing regulations. Ignoring the need for regular security audits and updates leaves the system susceptible to emerging threats. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach to technology deployment. This involves identifying potential threats and vulnerabilities, assessing their impact, and implementing appropriate controls. For collaboration devices, this means understanding the data flow, the sensitivity of the information being transmitted, and the regulatory landscape. A structured process of planning, design, implementation, and ongoing monitoring is crucial. This includes consulting with security and compliance teams, conducting thorough testing, and documenting all configurations and security measures. When faced with deployment pressures, it is essential to advocate for adequate time and resources for security and compliance validation, as the cost of a breach or non-compliance far outweighs the perceived savings from a rushed deployment. Question 6. Comparative studies suggest that organizations often struggle to balance the need for seamless guest collaboration with the imperative to protect sensitive internal data. In a scenario where a company is implementing Cisco collaboration devices and needs to provide Wi-Fi access to external visitors while ensuring the security of its internal network, which of the following approaches best upholds security and compliance best practices? Option A. Disable all security features on the guest Wi-Fi network to ensure maximum ease of access for all visitors. Option B. Implement a separate VLAN for guest Wi-Fi access. Configure firewall rules to strictly limit traffic between the guest VLAN and the internal corporate network, and ensure guest devices cannot access internal servers or sensitive data repositories. Option C. Grant guest Wi-Fi devices direct access to the internal corporate network to simplify connectivity and improve the user experience for visitors. Option D. Rely solely on user authentication for guest Wi-Fi access without implementing any network segmentation. The correct answer is B. Implement a separate VLAN for guest Wi-Fi access. Configure firewall rules to strictly limit traffic between the guest VLAN and the internal corporate network, and ensure guest devices cannot access internal servers or sensitive data repositories. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration devices, ensuring secure and compliant communication across different network segments, particularly when dealing with sensitive internal data and external guest access. The professional challenge lies in balancing the need for seamless collaboration with the imperative to protect corporate intellectual property and adhere to data privacy regulations. This requires a nuanced understanding of network segmentation, access control, and the specific security features of Cisco collaboration devices. The correct approach involves implementing a robust security posture that segregates guest traffic from internal resources. This is best professional practice because it directly addresses the principle of least privilege and defense in depth. By placing guest users on a separate VLAN with restricted access to internal servers and sensitive data, the organization significantly reduces the attack surface. This aligns with general IT security best practices, and in the context of the CICD exam's implied jurisdiction, typically US-centric for Cisco certifications, unless otherwise specified, be consistent with frameworks like NIST Cybersecurity Framework and potentially HIPAA or PCI DSS if the organization handles relevant data, emphasizing data protection and breach prevention. The use of firewalls to strictly control interVLAN traffic ensures that only necessary communication pathways are open, further reinforcing security. An incorrect approach would be to allow guest devices direct access to the internal corporate network. This is professionally unacceptable because it creates a significant security vulnerability. Guest devices are often less secure and can be compromised, providing a direct entry point for malware or attackers into the sensitive internal network. This failure to segment networks violates fundamental security principles and could lead to data breaches, intellectual property theft, and regulatory noncompliance, potentially incurring fines and reputational damage. Another incorrect approach would be to disable all security features on the guest network to simplify access. While seemingly user-friendly, this is a critical security lapse. It exposes the guest network itself to potential threats and, more importantly, removes any barrier between compromised guest devices and the internal network if a misconfiguration or oversight occurs. This lack of granular control is a direct contravention of responsible network management. Finally, an approach that relies solely on user authentication for guest access without network segmentation is insufficient. While authentication is a necessary component of security, it does not inherently prevent a compromised authenticated device from accessing unauthorized resources or spreading threats within the internal network. True security requires a layered approach that includes both strong authentication and robust network segmentation. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough risk assessment, understanding the organization's security policies and regulatory obligations, and then designing a network architecture that implements the principle of least privilege. This involves identifying sensitive data and resources, determining who needs access, and then configuring network devices and security policies to enforce those access controls. Regular security audits and vulnerability assessments are crucial to ensure the ongoing effectiveness of the implemented security measures. Question 7. The control framework reveals that a growing organization is deploying new Cisco IP phones across multiple departments. The IT team needs an efficient and secure method to register these devices with Cisco Unified Communications Manager, CUCM, to enable voice and video communication services. They are considering several approaches to achieve this. Option A. Utilize Cisco Unified Communications Manager auto-registration with appropriate security configurations, such as MAC address filtering or certificate-based authentication, to control which devices can register. Option B. Manually configure each IP phone individually with its specific extension and CUCM details. Option C. Develop and deploy a custom script to automate device registration without prior security vetting or testing. Option D. Enable open registration on CUCM, allowing any device on the network to register without authentication. Correct answer is A. Utilize Cisco Unified Communications Manager auto-registration with appropriate security configurations, such as MAC address filtering or certificate-based authentication, to control which devices can register. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration devices within a corporate environment, ensuring secure and compliant communication while balancing user experience and operational efficiency. The core tension lies between the need for robust security measures, as mandated by general IT governance and potentially specific industry regulations. Though for this exam, we focus on the general principles of secure implementation as per Cisco's guidelines and best practices, which are implicitly tied to operational integrity and data protection, and the desire for seamless integration and ease of use for end users. The complexity arises from the interconnectedness of various collaboration components, such as voice, video, and messaging, and the potential for misconfigurations to create security vulnerabilities or disrupt service. Professional judgment is required to select the most appropriate method for device registration that aligns with the organization's security posture and operational requirements. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves leveraging the Cisco Unified Communications Manager, CUCM, auto-registration feature with appropriate security configurations. This method is best professional practice because it automates the onboarding of new devices, significantly reducing manual effort and the potential for human error during configuration. Crucially, when implemented with security in mind, such as restricting auto-registration to specific network segments, using MAC address filtering, or employing certificate-based authentication, it provides a controlled and secure mechanism for device deployment. This aligns with the principles of secure network design and device management, ensuring that only authorized devices can join the collaboration network. The automation also contributes to operational efficiency, allowing IT staff to focus on more strategic tasks. Incorrect approaches analysis. Manually configuring each device individually, while seemingly straightforward for a small number of devices, becomes a significant security and operational risk as the deployment scales. This approach is prone to configuration errors, which can lead to security vulnerabilities, e.g., default passwords, open ports, or service disruptions. It also consumes excessive IT resources, hindering efficiency. Allowing devices to register without any form of authentication or validation is a severe security failure. This opens the network to unauthorized devices, potentially leading to eavesdropping, denial of service attacks, or the introduction of malware into the collaboration environment. This directly violates fundamental principles of network security and data protection. Implementing a custom scripting solution without thorough testing and security review introduces an unknown variable. While automation is desirable, a poorly designed or insecure script could inadvertently create vulnerabilities, bypass existing security controls, or lead to unpredictable behavior, compromising the integrity of the collaboration system. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach device registration by first understanding the organization's security policies and compliance requirements. They should then evaluate available deployment methods, considering factors such as scalability, security features, and operational overhead. The decision-making process should prioritize methods that offer robust security controls, automation for efficiency, and ease of management. A risk-based approach is essential, where potential vulnerabilities are identified and mitigated through appropriate configuration and security measures. In this context, leveraging built-in, Secure automation features like CCNA auto registration, when properly secured, offers the most professional and effective solution. Question 8. To address the challenge of deploying new Cisco IP phones and ensuring secure, reliable communication within the corporate network, which configuration strategy best adheres to Cisco's recommended practices for implementing collaboration devices? Option A. Configure IP phones to use SIP over TLS for signaling, but allow unencrypted RTP for media to optimize media stream performance. Option B. Configure all IP phones to use SIP over TLS for signaling and SRTP for media, ensuring strong encryption and authentication for all communication sessions. Option C. Implement SIP for signaling without TLS and RTP for media, focusing on broad compatibility with existing network infrastructure. Option D. Prioritize SCCP for device control and use unencrypted RTP for media to simplify initial deployment and reduce network overhead. The correct answer is B. Configure all IP phones to use SIP over TLS for signaling and SRTP for media, ensuring strong encryption and authentication for all communication sessions. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration devices, ensuring secure and compliant communication while balancing user experience and operational efficiency. The professional challenge lies in interpreting and applying the relevant Cisco collaboration documentation and best practices, which are the de facto regulatory framework for this exam, to a real-world deployment. The CICD exam focuses on the practical implementation of Cisco collaboration technologies, and adherence to Cisco's recommended configurations and security guidelines is paramount for successful and secure deployments. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the security implications of device registration and communication protocols. By prioritizing the use of TLS for signaling and SRTP for media, it aligns with Cisco's security recommendations for collaboration devices. This ensures data confidentiality and integrity, preventing unauthorized access and eavesdropping, which are critical for maintaining trust and compliance in any communication system. This approach demonstrates a thorough understanding of the security features inherent in Cisco collaboration devices and their proper configuration. An incorrect approach that overlooks the importance of encryption for signaling would fail to protect sensitive call setup information, such as caller ID, dialed numbers, and session initiation details. This leaves the communication vulnerable to interception and manipulation, violating fundamental security principles and potentially exposing confidential business information. Another incorrect approach that relies solely on older, less secure protocols like SCCP for device control, without considering the security implications or the availability of more secure alternatives like SIP over TLS, would also be professionally unacceptable. This would expose the control plane of the devices to potential compromise, impacting the overall stability and security of the collaboration environment. Finally, an approach that neglects to configure appropriate access controls and authentication mechanisms for the collaboration devices themselves would create significant security risks, allowing unauthorized individuals to potentially access or control these critical network components. Professional decision-making in such situations requires a systematic approach. First, understanding the core requirements of the deployment, including security and compliance. Second, consulting the official Cisco documentation and best practices relevant to the specific collaboration devices and features being implemented. Third, evaluating different configuration options based on their security posture, performance implications, and alignment with organizational policies. Finally, testing and verifying the chosen configuration to ensure it meets all requirements and operates as expected. Question 9. Quality control measures reveal that a newly deployed Cisco Unified Communications Manager (CUCM) environment is not explicitly configured to address potential data privacy concerns related to call recordings and instant messaging logs, which may contain sensitive personal information. The implementation team is eager to enable all advanced features to maximize user adoption. Which of the following approaches best aligns with regulatory compliance for handling sensitive data within collaboration systems in the United States? Option A. Configure the system to retain all call recordings and instant messages indefinitely to ensure no data is lost, and rely on ad hoc security measures if a data breach is suspected. Option B. Enable call recording and instant messaging features without specific configuration for data privacy, as the primary goal is to enhance communication efficiency. Option C. Implement robust encryption for call recordings and instant messaging archives. Establish clear data retention policies based on legal requirements, and ensure user consent mechanisms are in place for data collection and processing. Option D. Proceed with enabling all advanced features immediately to drive user adoption, assuming that any sensitive data captured will be anonymized later if issues arise. The correct answer is C. Implement robust encryption for call recordings and instant messaging archives. Establish clear data retention policies based on legal requirements, and ensure user consent mechanisms are in place for data collection and processing. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration devices, ensuring compliance with data privacy regulations, specifically those pertaining to the United States, as implied by the CCNA collaboration implementing Cisco collaboration devices. CICD exam's typical scope, which often includes U.S. federal regulations. The professional challenge lies in balancing the functionality and efficiency of collaboration tools with the legal and ethical obligations to protect user data. Misinterpreting or neglecting these regulations can lead to significant legal penalties, reputational damage, and loss of user trust. The correct approach involves a proactive and thorough understanding of relevant U.S. data privacy laws, such as the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, if healthcare data is involved, or general principles of data protection under frameworks like the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, Act concerning deceptive practices. Implementing technical controls like encryption, access controls, and audit logging, coupled with clear user consent mechanisms and data retention policies, directly addresses these regulatory requirements. This approach demonstrates a commitment to responsible data stewardship and builds a foundation of trust with users and stakeholders. An incorrect approach of prioritizing feature deployment over data privacy considerations is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. For instance, failing to implement appropriate encryption for sensitive communications would violate the spirit, and potentially the letter, of data protection laws, exposing the organization to breaches and noncompliance. Another incorrect approach, such as assuming all data is public or non-sensitive without proper classification and risk assessment, ignores the fundamental principle of data minimization and purpose limitation, leading to potential overcollection and misuse of personal information. Lastly, neglecting to obtain explicit user consent for data collection and processing, especially for features that might capture personal or sensitive information, directly contravenes consumer protection laws and ethical standards, creating a legal liability. Professionals should adopt a decision-making process that begins with identifying all applicable regulatory frameworks. This is followed by a risk assessment to understand the types of data being handled and the potential privacy implications of the collaboration system. Implementing technical and administrative safeguards that align with these identified risks and regulations is crucial. Regular audits and updates to policies and procedures are necessary to maintain ongoing compliance. Question 10. Market research demonstrates a growing demand for enhanced internal communication and collaboration tools within the financial services sector. A company is considering deploying a new suite of Cisco collaboration devices, including video conferencing units and instant messaging platforms, across its operations. Given the highly regulated nature of the financial industry, what is the most critical initial step to ensure the implementation complies with all relevant U.S. federal and state regulations pertaining to data privacy, security, and financial record-keeping? Option A. Begin the deployment of the collaboration devices immediately to gain a competitive advantage, with a plan to address any compliance concerns post-implementation. Option B. Prioritize the selection of the most cost-effective collaboration devices that offer the broadest range of features to maximize return on investment. Option C. Engage legal counsel and compliance officers to perform a thorough review of all applicable U.S. federal and state data privacy, security, and financial record-keeping regulations, and map these requirements to the proposed collaboration solution's features and functionalities. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive audit of existing network infrastructure to identify potential bandwidth limitations and compatibility issues with the new collaboration devices. The correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive audit of existing network infrastructure to identify potential bandwidth limitations and compatibility issues with the new collaboration devices. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge related to implementing collaboration devices in a regulated environment. The core difficulty lies in balancing the technical requirements of deploying new technology with the stringent regulatory compliance obligations. Specifically, ensuring that the chosen implementation strategy adheres to data privacy and security regulations is paramount. Failure to do so can lead to significant legal repercussions, financial penalties, and reputational damage. The need for a proactive and compliant approach from the outset is critical. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes a thorough review and adherence to the relevant regulatory framework governing data handling and communication technologies. This involves understanding specific requirements related to data encryption, access controls, audit trails, and data residency, as mandated by the applicable jurisdiction's laws and guidelines. By integrating compliance considerations into the design and implementation phases, the organization ensures that the collaboration devices operate within legal boundaries, safeguarding sensitive information and maintaining user trust. This proactive stance is best professional practice as it mitigates risks and builds a foundation of trust and security. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing collaboration devices without a prior comprehensive review of regulatory requirements is a significant ethical and regulatory failure. This approach risks noncompliance with data privacy laws, potentially leading to unauthorized access or disclosure of sensitive information. Another incorrect approach involves assuming that standard security features are sufficient without verifying their alignment with specific regulatory mandates. This oversight can result in gaps in protection that violate legal obligations. Furthermore, prioritizing cost-effectiveness or speed of deployment over regulatory due diligence is a critical failure. Such a decision can lead to the adoption of solutions that are non-compliant, exposing the organization to severe penalties and legal action. Professional reasoning. Professionals tasked with implementing collaboration devices must adopt a risk-based approach that places regulatory compliance at the forefront. This involves 1. Identifying all applicable regulations and guidelines for the specific jurisdiction. 2. Conducting a thorough risk assessment to understand potential compliance gaps. 3. Integrating compliance requirements into the technical design and procurement processes. 4. Implementing robust security controls and audit mechanisms. 5. Regularly reviewing and updating compliance strategies as regulations evolve or technology changes. This systematic process ensures that technology adoption is both effective and legally sound. Question 11. Compliance review shows that the implemented Cisco collaboration solution, designed for a US-based enterprise, has not explicitly incorporated mechanisms for lawful intercept capabilities or detailed data retention policies that align with the Electronic Communications Privacy Act (ECPA) and relevant state privacy statutes. Which of the following approaches best addresses this compliance gap while ensuring operational integrity? Option A. Implement robust encryption for all data at rest and in transit, and establish clear user access controls, while deferring the implementation of lawful intercept capabilities and detailed data retention policies to a future, less critical project phase. Option B. Conduct a thorough legal and technical assessment to identify specific ECPA and state law requirements for lawful intercept and data retention. Then design and implement appropriate technical configurations and policies to meet these obligations, ensuring data is handled in compliance with privacy regulations. Option C. Immediately disable all external communication features of the collaboration system until a comprehensive legal review and technical remediation plan is developed and implemented. Option D. Rely on existing network security measures and general data protection guidelines, assuming that these are sufficient to meet the specific requirements of ECPA and state privacy laws for lawful intercept and data retention within the collaboration system. Correct answer is C. Immediately disable all external communication features of the collaboration system until a comprehensive legal review and technical remediation plan is developed and implemented. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration solutions, ensuring that the chosen technologies and their configurations adhere to the relevant regulatory frameworks governing data privacy and communication interception, specifically within the context of the United States, as implied by the CCNA collaboration certification's typical scope. The professional challenge lies in balancing the desire for advanced collaboration features with the legal obligations to protect sensitive information and cooperate with lawful requests for data. A deep understanding of these regulations is crucial to avoid significant legal penalties, reputational damage, and loss of customer trust. The correct approach prioritizes a thorough understanding and application of U.S. federal regulations, such as the Electronic Communications Privacy Act (ECPA), and potentially state-specific privacy laws. This involves proactively identifying data that falls under these protections, implementing appropriate encryption and access controls, and establishing clear policies for data retention and lawful access. This approach represents best professional practice because it demonstrates a commitment to legal compliance and ethical data handling, safeguarding both the organization and its users. It ensures that the collaboration system is designed and operated in a manner that respects privacy rights while still enabling necessary business functions and lawful investigations. An incorrect approach that overlooks the need for lawful intercept capabilities, for instance, would fail to comply with regulations that may mandate such provisions for law enforcement purposes. This could lead to severe legal repercussions if a lawful request for communication data cannot be fulfilled due to technical or policy limitations. Another incorrect approach, such as implementing overly broad data retention policies that violate privacy regulations or fail to adequately secure sensitive data, would expose the organization to risks of data breaches and noncompliance with privacy statutes like the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, if applicable. Failing to conduct a risk assessment for data handling within the collaboration system is also a critical failure, as it means potential vulnerabilities and noncompliance issues are not identified or addressed proactively. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that begins with a comprehensive understanding of the applicable regulatory landscape. This involves consulting legal counsel and compliance officers to identify all relevant U.S. federal and state laws. Subsequently, a risk assessment should be conducted to map data flows and identify sensitive information within the collaboration system. Based on this assessment, technical controls, e.g., encryption, access controls, and policy measures, e.g., data retention, acceptable use, should be designed and implemented. Regular audits and updates to these measures are essential to maintain ongoing compliance as regulations and technologies evolve. Question 12. Consider a scenario where a healthcare organization in the United States is implementing a new Cisco Unified Communications Manager (CUCM) system to facilitate internal communication and patient consultations. The organization handles a significant amount of protected health information, (PHI), and is therefore subject to HIPAA regulations. Which of the following approaches best ensures regulatory compliance during the implementation of the CUCM system? Option A. Conduct a comprehensive HIPAA compliance audit of the CUCM system's configuration and features, ensuring end-to-end encryption for all PHI transmission, robust access controls, and detailed audit logging capabilities. Option B. Deploy the CUCM system with standard user account password protection, and assume that the inherent security features of the Cisco devices are sufficient for HIPAA compliance. Option C. Proceed with the CUCM implementation without a specific HIPAA compliance review, relying on the general IT security policies of the organization to cover any potential data protection needs. Option D. Implement the CUCM system focusing primarily on optimizing call quality and user experience, with a secondary consideration for security features after the system is fully operational. Correct answer is A. Conduct a comprehensive HIPAA compliance audit of the CUCM system's configuration and features, ensuring end-to-end encryption for all PHI transmission, robust access controls, and detailed audit logging capabilities. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge involving the implementation of a new collaboration system within a regulated industry. The core difficulty lies in balancing the technical requirements of deploying a Cisco collaboration solution with the stringent regulatory compliance obligations that govern data handling and communication within the United States. Specifically, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, imposes strict rules on the protection of protected health information, PHI. Failure to adhere to these regulations can result in significant legal penalties, reputational damage, and a loss of patient trust. Therefore, careful judgment is required to ensure that the technical implementation aligns with all applicable legal and ethical standards. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough assessment of the Cisco collaboration solution's capabilities against HIPAA requirements. This includes verifying that the chosen solution supports end-to-end encryption for all communications containing PHI, implementing robust access controls to limit who can access sensitive data, and establishing comprehensive audit trails to monitor system usage and data access. Furthermore, it necessitates ensuring that any third-party integrations or cloud services used by the collaboration solution are also HIPAA-compliant business associates. This approach represents best professional practice because it proactively addresses regulatory mandates, demonstrating a commitment to patient privacy and data security as required by HIPAA. It prioritizes compliance from the outset, minimizing the risk of future violations and ensuring the ethical handling of sensitive health information. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing the collaboration solution without a specific HIPAA compliance audit is a regulatory failure. This approach ignores the explicit requirements of HIPAA for safeguarding PHI, creating a high risk of data breaches and noncompliance. It is ethically unacceptable as it prioritizes expediency over patient privacy. Deploying the solution with only basic password protection for user accounts, without considering encryption or granular access controls, is another regulatory failure. While passwords offer a minimal level of security, they are insufficient to meet HIPAA standards for protecting electronic PHI. This approach demonstrates a lack of understanding of the comprehensive security measures mandated by the regulation and is ethically deficient due to the inadequate protection of sensitive patient data. Focusing solely on the technical features of the Cisco collaboration devices, such as call quality and feature sets, without verifying their compliance with HIPAA, constitutes a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This approach prioritizes functionality over legal and ethical obligations, potentially exposing the organization to severe penalties and compromising patient trust. It fails to acknowledge that technical capabilities must be subservient to regulatory requirements when dealing with protected health information. Professional reasoning. Professionals tasked with implementing collaboration solutions in regulated environments must adopt a compliance-first mindset. The decision-making process should begin with identifying all applicable regulations, in this case, HIPAA. This is followed by a detailed analysis of how the proposed technical solution aligns with each regulatory requirement. A risk assessment should be conducted to identify potential compliance gaps. Mitigation strategies, including configuration changes, policy updates, and employee training, should be developed and implemented. Regular audits and ongoing monitoring are crucial to ensure sustained compliance. This systematic approach ensures that technical implementations are not only functional, but also legally sound and ethically responsible. Question 13. The investigation demonstrates that a company is deploying new Cisco collaboration devices across its network. To ensure a secure and reliable implementation, what is the most appropriate risk management approach to adopt during the planning and deployment phases? Option A. Rely solely on the default security settings provided by the Cisco collaboration devices, assuming they are sufficient for the organization's needs. Option B. Focus the risk assessment exclusively on the technical performance and feature set of the devices, without considering potential security vulnerabilities or user privacy implications. Option C. Prioritize the rapid deployment of the collaboration devices to meet business deadlines, deferring any detailed risk assessment until after the system is operational. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment that identifies potential threats, analyzes their likelihood and impact, and defines mitigation strategies for the new collaboration devices. Correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment that identifies potential threats, analyzes their likelihood and impact, and defines mitigation strategies for the new collaboration devices. Explanation. The investigation demonstrates a scenario where a company is implementing new collaboration devices, and a critical aspect of this implementation involves assessing potential risks. This is professionally challenging because the introduction of new technology, especially in a collaborative environment, can introduce unforeseen vulnerabilities that impact data security, user privacy, and operational continuity. A thorough risk assessment is paramount to identify, analyze, and mitigate these potential threats before they materialize into actual incidents. The correct approach involves a systematic and comprehensive risk assessment process that aligns with industry, best practices, and relevant Cisco guidelines for implementing collaboration devices. This includes identifying potential threats, e.g., unauthorized access, data breaches, service disruptions, assessing the likelihood and impact of these threats, and developing mitigation strategies. This approach represents best professional practice because it proactively addresses security and operational concerns, ensuring compliance with data protection principles and maintaining the integrity and availability of collaboration services. It demonstrates due diligence in protecting sensitive information and user data, which is a core ethical and professional responsibility. An incorrect approach would be to bypass or inadequately perform the risk assessment due to time or resource constraints. This failure to identify and address potential vulnerabilities before deployment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It exposes the organization to potential data breaches, privacy violations, and service disruptions, which could lead to reputational damage, financial losses, and noncompliance with data protection regulations. Another incorrect approach would be to focus solely on technical functionality without considering the security implications or user impact. This oversight neglects the broader responsibilities of implementing technology in a secure and user-centric manner, potentially leading to compliance issues and a negative user experience. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes a structured risk assessment methodology. This involves understanding the business context, identifying all potential assets and vulnerabilities, evaluating risks based on likelihood and impact, and then implementing appropriate controls. The process should be iterative, with regular reviews and updates to the risk assessment as the technology and threat landscape evolve. This proactive and systematic approach ensures that technology implementations are secure, compliant, and aligned with organizational objectives. Question 14. Upon reviewing the proposed deployment of a new suite of collaboration devices across the organization, which of the following approaches best addresses the inherent risks associated with integrating these technologies into the existing network infrastructure and business workflows? Option A. Prioritize the implementation of the most advanced encryption and authentication protocols available for the collaboration devices, assuming this will inherently secure the system. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive, documented risk assessment to identify potential threats, analyze their likelihood and impact, and develop proportionate mitigation strategies, followed by ongoing monitoring. Option C. Focus solely on the technical specifications and features of the collaboration devices, ensuring they meet basic functional requirements without extensive analysis of broader security implications. Option D. Deploy the collaboration devices immediately to capitalize on their productivity benefits and address any security concerns or compliance issues that arise retrospectively. The correct answer is B. Conduct a comprehensive, documented risk assessment to identify potential threats, analyze their likelihood and impact, and develop proportionate mitigation strategies, followed by ongoing monitoring. Explanation. Scenario analysis. Implementing collaboration devices within an organization, especially in a regulated environment like that implied by the CCNA collaboration certification, presents a significant risk assessment challenge. The primary difficulty lies in balancing the benefits of enhanced communication and productivity offered by these devices against potential security vulnerabilities, data privacy concerns, and compliance requirements. Organizations must proactively identify, analyze, and mitigate these risks to ensure the integrity and security of their communication systems. This requires a thorough understanding of the technology, the business processes it supports, and the relevant regulatory landscape. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and documented risk assessment process. This process should begin with identifying all potential threats and vulnerabilities associated with the collaboration devices, such as unauthorized access, data interception, malware introduction, and denial of service attacks. Following identification, each risk should be analyzed to determine its likelihood and potential impact on the organization's operation. Data confidentiality and compliance posture. Mitigation strategies, such as implementing strong authentication, encryption, regular security patching, and user training, should then be developed and prioritized based on the risk analysis. Continuous monitoring and periodic reassessment are crucial to adapt to evolving threats and organizational changes. This comprehensive approach ensures that security controls are proportionate to the identified risks and align with regulatory obligations, thereby safeguarding sensitive information and maintaining operational continuity. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing collaboration devices without a formal risk assessment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This approach, often driven by a desire for rapid deployment or cost savings, ignores potential vulnerabilities and leaves the organization exposed to security breaches and noncompliance. Violates the principle of due diligence, which requires organizations to take reasonable steps to protect their assets and data. Focusing solely on technical security features without considering the broader operational and compliance context is also an inadequate approach. While strong encryption and access controls are vital, they are only part of the solution. Risks related to user error, policy violation, or integration with legacy systems may not be addressed, leading to potential compliance gaps and security incidents. This oversight can result in regulatory penalties and reputational damage. Adopting a wait-and-see approach, where risks are addressed only after an incident occurs, is a reactive and highly irresponsible strategy. This approach demonstrates a clear disregard for proactive risk management and can lead to severe consequences, including data loss, service disruption, and significant financial and legal liabilities. It directly contravenes the ethical obligation to protect organizational assets and stakeholder information. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured and proactive risk management framework. This involves 1. Understanding the business context and the role of collaboration devices. 2. Identifying all potential threats and vulnerabilities specific to the deployed technologies and the organization's environment. 3. Analyzing the likelihood and impact of each identified risk. 4. Developing and prioritizing appropriate mitigation strategies. 5. Implementing controls and establishing monitoring mechanisms. 6. Regularly reviewing and updating the risk assessment to account for changes in technology, threats, and regulatory requirements. This iterative process ensures that security and compliance are integrated into the lifecycle of collaboration systems, fostering a culture of security awareness and responsible technology adoption. Question 15. Stakeholder feedback indicates a significant concern regarding the potential for unauthorized access to sensitive conversations and shared documents once the new Cisco collaboration devices are deployed across the organization. What is the most appropriate initial step to address this feedback within the scope of implementing these devices? Option A. Focus on configuring the devices for maximum cost efficiency, as the primary goal is to reduce operational expenses. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify potential threats, vulnerabilities, and the likelihood and impact of unauthorized access to the collaboration system. Option C. Immediately deploy the latest security patches to all new collaboration devices to preemptively address any known vulnerabilities. Option D. Prioritize user training on basic security practices, assuming that most unauthorized access will stem from user error. The correct answer is B. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify potential threats, vulnerabilities, and the likelihood and impact of unauthorized access to the collaboration system. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT projects where new technology implementation, like Cisco collaboration devices, introduces potential security vulnerabilities and operational risks. Stakeholder feedback, while valuable, can be subjective and sometimes driven by immediate concerns, rather than a comprehensive understanding of the broader risk landscape. The professional challenge lies in translating this feedback into actionable risk mitigation strategies that align with both business objectives and regulatory compliance, specifically within the context of the 210-060 CCNA collaboration implementing Cisco collaboration devices. CICD, exams implied jurisdiction, which, for the purpose of this exam, is assumed to be a general IT professional context without specific country mandates unless otherwise stated, focusing on best practices for device implementation. The need for a structured risk assessment is paramount to avoid overlooking critical threats or implementing ineffective controls. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves conducting a systematic risk assessment that identifies potential threats to the new collaboration system, analyzes their likelihood and impact, and prioritizes mitigation efforts. This aligns with best practices in IT security and project management, ensuring that risks are managed proactively. For the CICD exam, this translates to understanding how to implement devices securely and with consideration for their operational environment. A thorough risk assessment would consider factors like unauthorized access, data breaches, service disruptions, and compliance with internal security policies and general IT governance principles. This approach ensures that resources are allocated effectively to address the most significant risks, thereby protecting the organization's assets and reputation. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing security patches immediately without a full risk assessment is a reactive measure that might address a known vulnerability but could introduce new, unforeseen risks or be misapplied if the vulnerability isn't relevant to the specific deployment. This bypasses the critical step of understanding the actual threat landscape and potential impact on the new collaboration system. Ignoring stakeholder feedback entirely, even if it seems alarmist, is professionally unsound. While the feedback may not be technically precise, it often points to genuine concerns that, if unaddressed, can lead to project delays, user dissatisfaction, or a lack of adoption. This failure to engage with stakeholders can also be seen as a lapse in communication and collaboration, which are key aspects of implementing collaboration solutions. Focusing solely on the cost savings of the new system without a corresponding assessment of the associated risks is a significant ethical and professional failure. Financial benefits should not overshadow the imperative to secure the system and ensure its reliable operation. This approach neglects the fundamental responsibility to protect organizational data and maintain service continuity, which are core tenets of IT professional practice. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured, risk-based approach to implementing new technologies. This involves 1. Identifying all potential risks associated with the new collaboration devices, considering both technical vulnerabilities and operational impacts. 2. Analyzing the likelihood and potential impact of each identified risk. 3. Prioritizing risks based on their severity. 4. Developing and implementing appropriate mitigation strategies, which may include security configurations, access controls, monitoring, and user training. 5. Regularly reviewing and updating the risk assessment as the system evolves and new threats emerge. This systematic process ensures that decisions are informed, resources are used efficiently, and the implementation aligns with organizational security policies and operational requirements. Question 16. Examination of the data shows a recent increase in security incidents related to unauthorized access and data leakage within the organization's collaboration platform. The IT department is tasked with addressing this escalating risk. Which of the following approaches represents the most professional and effective strategy for mitigating these security concerns? Option A. Increase the strictness of all firewall rules across the network without a detailed analysis of the collaboration, platform-specific traffic patterns. Option B. Immediately implement a complete ban on all third-party collaboration tools and services to eliminate potential external attack vectors. Option C. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify specific vulnerabilities, analyze potential threats, and prioritize mitigation efforts based on impact and likelihood. Option D. Continue with the current implementation and monitor the situation without making immediate changes, assuming the incidents are isolated. The correct answer is C. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify specific vulnerabilities, analyze potential threats, and prioritize mitigation efforts based on impact and likelihood. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in implementing collaboration solutions, balancing the need for robust security with user accessibility and operational efficiency. The organization is experiencing a rise in security incidents, indicating a potential vulnerability in their current collaboration infrastructure. The IT department is tasked with mitigating these risks without disrupting critical business functions or alienating users with overly restrictive measures. The challenge lies in identifying the most effective and compliant risk mitigation strategy that aligns with Cisco's CICD implementation principles and any relevant, though unspecified for this exam, industry best practices for data security and privacy. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a comprehensive risk assessment that prioritizes the identification and mitigation of threats based on their potential impact and likelihood. This aligns with the fundamental principles of implementing secure and reliable collaboration systems. A thorough assessment allows for the development of targeted security controls, such as implementing strong authentication mechanisms, encrypting sensitive communication, and establishing clear access control policies. This proactive and data-driven approach ensures that resources are allocated effectively to address the most critical vulnerabilities, thereby minimizing the organization's exposure to security breaches. This methodology is professionally sound as it is systematic, evidence-based, and aims to achieve a balance between security and usability, which is a core tenet of effective IT implementation. Incorrect approach is analysis. Implementing a blanket ban on all external collaboration tools without a specific threat analysis is an overreaction. It fails to consider the business benefits these tools might provide and could lead to user workarounds, creating shadow IT environments that are even harder to secure. This approach is professionally unsound because it lacks a data-driven basis and is not a proportionate response to the observed incidents. It also disregards the potential impact on productivity and innovation, focusing solely on increasing firewall rules without understanding the specific attack vectors is inefficient. While firewalls are a critical security component, an unfocused approach can lead to legitimate traffic being blocked, impacting collaboration, and may not address vulnerabilities in the collaboration applications themselves. This is professionally weak as it is a tactical, rather than strategic response that doesn't address the root cause of the incidents. Ignoring the incidents and continuing with the current implementation is negligent. This approach fails to acknowledge the escalating risk and the organization's responsibility to protect its data and users. It directly contravenes the professional obligation to maintain a secure and functional IT environment and could lead to significant regulatory and reputational damage if a major breach occurs. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach risk mitigation by first understanding the nature and scope of the problem through data analysis. This involves identifying specific threats, vulnerabilities, and potential impacts. The next step is to evaluate various mitigation strategies, considering their effectiveness, cost, and impact on operations. A risk assessment framework, which often involves prioritizing risks based on likelihood and impact, guides the selection of the most appropriate controls. This systematic process ensures that security measures are proportionate, effective, and aligned with business objectives, fostering a culture of continuous improvement and proactive security management. Question 17. Performance analysis shows that a company is experiencing an increase in unauthorized access attempts to its internal network following the recent deployment of Cisco collaboration devices. The IT security team needs to address this situation promptly. Which of the following approaches best mitigates the immediate risks and ensures future compliance? Option A. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify vulnerabilities in the collaboration device configuration and network integration, and implement appropriate security controls based on the findings. Option B. Immediately disable all external access to the collaboration devices to prevent further unauthorized attempts. Option C. Focus on enhancing the bandwidth of the collaboration network to improve performance, as the increased access attempts might be a symptom of network congestion. Option D. Rely on the default security settings provided by Cisco for the collaboration devices, assuming they are sufficient for protection. The correct answer is A. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify vulnerabilities in the collaboration device configuration and network integration, and implement appropriate security controls based on the findings. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT environments where the implementation of new collaboration technologies, such as Cisco Unified Communications Manager, CUCM, or Cisco Unity Connection, CUC, introduces potential security vulnerabilities. The challenge lies in balancing the benefits of enhanced communication and collaboration with the inherent risks of exposing sensitive data or systems to unauthorized access. A thorough risk assessment is crucial to identify, analyze, and evaluate these risks before and during the deployment and ongoing management of these devices. Failure to do so can lead to data breaches, service disruptions, and noncompliance with data protection regulations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and documented process of risk assessment. This begins with identifying all potential threats and vulnerabilities associated with the Cisco collaboration devices and their integration into the network. This includes physical security of the devices, network access controls, data encryption, user authentication, and potential exploits of the software. Following identification, each risk is analyzed to determine its likelihood of occurrence and potential impact on the organization's operations, data confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This analysis informs the evaluation of risks, prioritizing those that are most significant. Based on this evaluation, appropriate mitigation strategies are developed and implemented, such as configuring strong passwords, enabling encryption, segmenting the network, and implementing regular security patching. This proactive and structured approach aligns with best practices for IT security and is implicitly supported by general principles of due diligence and responsible system management, which are foundational to regulatory compliance in any jurisdiction concerning data protection and system integrity. Incorrect approach is analysis. Implementing collaboration devices without a formal risk assessment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a disregard for potential harm to the organization and its users. This approach creates an environment where vulnerabilities can go unnoticed and unaddressed, increasing the likelihood of security incidents. Such negligence can lead to breaches of data privacy regulations, resulting in substantial fines and reputational damage. Focusing solely on the functionality and features of the collaboration devices, without considering their security implications, is another failure. This narrow focus overlooks the potential for these devices to be entry points for malicious actors or to inadvertently expose sensitive information. It prioritizes immediate usability over long-term security and compliance, which is professionally irresponsible and can lead to regulatory noncompliance if data protection laws are violated. Relying on vendor default security settings without customization or review is also a critical failure. Vendor defaults are often designed for broad compatibility and may not offer the level of security required for a specific organizational environment. This approach assumes a level of security that may not exist, leaving the system vulnerable to known exploits or weak configurations. It represents a failure to adequately assess and mitigate risks specific to the deployment context, which is a cornerstone of responsible system implementation and regulatory adherence. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach to implementing and managing IT systems. This involves a continuous cycle of identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks. When deploying new technologies like Cisco collaboration devices, the first step should always be a comprehensive risk assessment. This assessment should consider the specific environment, potential threats, and the impact of any security incidents. The findings of the risk assessment should then guide the implementation and configuration of the devices, ensuring that appropriate security controls are in place. Regular reviews and updates to the risk assessment are also essential to address evolving threats and changes in the IT landscape. This proactive and systematic methodology ensures that security and compliance are integrated into the technology lifecycle, rather than being an afterthought. Question 18. The assessment process reveals that the organization is planning to deploy a new Cisco Unified Communications Manager, CUCM, environment to support voice and video conferencing. While the technical implementation is progressing, there's a lack of clarity on how to proactively address potential security and operational risks associated with this new infrastructure before it goes live. What is the most appropriate next step to ensure a secure and reliable deployment? Option A. Focus solely on optimizing network bandwidth for the new collaboration traffic, as performance is the primary concern identified by stakeholders. Option B. Proceed with the deployment as planned, relying on the default security settings of the Cisco devices and assuming that existing network security measures will suffice. Option C. Prioritize immediate user training on basic CUCM functionalities, deferring any in-depth security risk analysis until after the system is operational. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify potential threats, vulnerabilities, and their impact on the new collaboration system, and develop mitigation strategies. The correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive risk assessment to identify potential threats, vulnerabilities, and their impact on the new collaboration system, and develop mitigation strategies. Explanation. The assessment process reveals a critical juncture in implementing a new Cisco collaboration solution. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate need for enhanced communication capabilities with the inherent risks associated with deploying new technologies, particularly concerning data privacy and security. Professionals must navigate the complexities of regulatory compliance, which, for the 210-060 CCNA collaboration implementing Cisco collaboration devices (CICD) exam, implies adherence to general IT best practices and potential industry-specific guidelines that Cisco's solutions might touch upon. Without specific jurisdictional mandates being provided for this exam context, the professional must demonstrate a proactive approach to identifying and mitigating potential vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. The correct approach involves a comprehensive risk assessment that systematically identifies, analyzes, and prioritizes potential threats and vulnerabilities. This includes evaluating the likelihood of a threat occurring and the potential impact on the organization's operations, data, and reputation. By developing mitigation strategies based on this assessment, the organization can make informed decisions about security controls, resource allocation, and the overall deployment strategy. This aligns with professional best practices in IT security and project management, ensuring that risks are managed proactively rather than reactively. An incorrect approach would be to proceed with the deployment without a thorough risk assessment, assuming that standard security measures are sufficient. This overlooks the unique risks associated with collaboration platforms, such as potential interception of sensitive communications, unauthorized access to user data, or denial of service attacks that could cripple business operations. Such an oversight represents a failure in due diligence and could lead to significant financial losses, reputational damage, and potential legal liabilities if data breaches occur. Another incorrect approach would be to focus solely on technical implementation without considering the human element, such as user training and awareness regarding security best practices for collaboration tools. This neglects a significant attack vector and fails to build a robust security posture. The professional decision-making process should involve a structured risk management framework. This begins with defining the scope of the assessment, identifying all assets and potential threats, analyzing the likelihood and impact of each risk, and then developing appropriate response strategies, mitigation, avoidance, transference, or acceptance. Regular review and updates to the risk assessment are crucial as the technology evolves and new threats emerge. Question 19. Analysis of the implementation of a new Cisco collaboration platform within a regulated industry requires a proactive approach to identify and address potential security and compliance issues. Which of the following methodologies best supports a responsible and compliant deployment? Option A. Implementing features that enhance user convenience and accessibility, even if they introduce minor security risks or bypass established security protocols. Option B. Relying exclusively on the vendor's security assurances and default configuration settings without independent validation or organizational-specific threat modeling. Option C. Prioritizing immediate cost savings and user adoption rates, deferring detailed security and compliance reviews until after the platform is fully operational. Option D. Conducting a comprehensive risk assessment that identifies potential threats, vulnerabilities, and their impact, followed by the development of targeted mitigation strategies. Correct answer is D. Conducting a comprehensive risk assessment that identifies potential threats, vulnerabilities, and their impact, followed by the development of targeted mitigation strategies. Explanation. Scenario analysis. Implementing Cisco collaboration devices, CICD, in a business environment necessitates a thorough risk assessment to identify potential vulnerabilities and ensure compliance with relevant regulations. The challenge lies in balancing the benefits of collaboration technology with the inherent risks of data security, privacy, and service availability. A professional must consider the impact of potential disruptions, unauthorized access, and data breaches on business operations and reputation. This scenario requires a proactive approach to security and compliance, rather than a reactive one. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and comprehensive risk assessment process that aligns with established cybersecurity frameworks and regulatory expectations. This includes identifying all potential threats and vulnerabilities specific to the collaboration environment, evaluating the likelihood and impact of these risks, and developing appropriate mitigation strategies. This aligns with the principle of due diligence in cybersecurity and data protection, ensuring that an organization takes reasonable steps to protect its assets and comply with regulations such as those pertaining to data privacy and telecommunications security. Best professional practice dictates a layered security approach and continuous monitoring. Incorrect approach is analysis, focusing solely on the immediate cost savings of a new collaboration solution without a corresponding risk assessment is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This approach neglects the potential for substantial financial and reputational damage resulting from security incidents, which could lead to non-compliance with data protection laws and contractual obligations. Implementing a solution based on vendor recommendations alone, without independent verification or a tailored risk assessment, is also professionally unsound. While vendors provide valuable information, their primary focus is on product features, not necessarily on the specific risk profile and regulatory landscape of the deploying organization. This can lead to overlooking critical vulnerabilities or compliance gaps. Prioritizing user convenience over security and compliance measures, such as implementing features that bypass established security protocols, creates direct regulatory and ethical breaches. This can expose sensitive data to unauthorized access and violate data privacy regulations, leading to severe penalties and loss of trust. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based decision-making framework. This involves 1. Identifying assets and their value. 2. Identifying threats and vulnerabilities. 3. Analyzing the likelihood and impact of potential risks. 4. Evaluating existing controls and their effectiveness. 5. Developing and implementing mitigation strategies, prioritizing those with the highest risk reduction for the lowest cost. 6. Continuously monitoring and reviewing the risk landscape. This systematic approach ensures that technology investments are made responsibly, with a clear understanding of potential downsides and a plan to address them, thereby upholding professional integrity and regulatory compliance. Question 20. Cost-benefit analysis shows that a third-party, open-source collaboration solution offers a significantly lower upfront licensing cost compared to Cisco's integrated suite. However, this open-source solution has limited official vendor support, a less mature security track record, and requires substantial custom integration with existing Cisco Unified Communications Manager (CUCM) infrastructure, which approach best aligns with professional best practices for implementing collaboration devices within a Cisco-centric environment. Option A. Implement a hybrid approach, using the open-source solution for basic communication features and integrating it with CUCM only for essential data exchange, while deferring full integration until future budget cycles. Option B. Focus solely on the feature set of the open-source solution, believing that its advanced functionalities outweigh the potential integration and support challenges, and that custom development can bridge any gaps. Option C. Adopt the open-source solution to leverage the immediate cost savings, assuming that custom integration challenges can be overcome with internal resources and that security concerns can be addressed through community patches. Option D. Prioritize the Cisco integrated suite due to its proven interoperability, comprehensive vendor support, and established security protocols, even if the initial cost is higher. The correct answer is D. Prioritize the Cisco integrated suite due to its proven interoperability, comprehensive vendor support, and established security protocols, even if the initial cost is higher. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in IT infrastructure deployment, balancing immediate cost savings with long-term operational efficiency and compliance. The professional challenge lies in evaluating the true cost of a solution beyond the initial purchase price, considering factors like ongoing support, integration complexity, and potential security vulnerabilities. Careful judgment is required to ensure that the chosen solution aligns with both business objectives and regulatory requirements, even if a seemingly cheaper option is available. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a comprehensive evaluation of all relevant factors, including security, scalability, and vendor support, which are critical for maintaining a robust and compliant collaboration environment. This aligns with the principles of responsible technology adoption, ensuring that the implemented solution is not only functional, but also secure and sustainable. Adhering to Cisco's recommended deployment practices and considering the total cost of ownership, TCO, are fundamental to successful and compliant implementations. An incorrect approach that solely focuses on the lowest upfront cost fails to consider the potential for higher long-term expenses due to increased maintenance, lack of vendor support, or the need for costly workarounds to achieve desired functionality. This can lead to security vulnerabilities and non-compliance with industry best practices, which, while not explicitly detailed in a specific U.S. regulation for this exam, represent a failure in professional due diligence and risk management. Another incorrect approach that ignores vendor support in community forums risks significant downtime and operational disruption when issues arise, as there is no reliable channel for troubleshooting or updates. This lack of a support structure can indirectly lead to compliance issues if the system becomes unstable or insecure due to unaddressed problems. A third incorrect approach that prioritizes a feature set without considering integration with existing infrastructure creates silos and inefficiencies, potentially leading to data inconsistencies and security gaps, which are implicitly discouraged by best practice frameworks for secure and integrated systems. The professional decision-making process should involve a structured evaluation of potential solutions against defined requirements, including technical capabilities, security posture, scalability, vendor reputation, and TCO. This process should involve input from relevant stakeholders, including IT security, operations, and end users, to ensure all perspectives are considered. A risk assessment should be conducted for each option, and the chosen solution should demonstrate a clear alignment with organizational goals and regulatory considerations, even if those considerations are implicit in best practice guidelines.